Welcome to the Lessons from Your Hairstylist podcast, where we uncover and leverage your unique beauty and personal style. I'm your host, Sarah Cruz, a beauty industry educator and hairstylist with 30 years experience. This show is dedicated to providing you with insights and practical advice for living a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. Experience that special stylist-client bond right here as we dive into conversations with experts in beauty and wellness. Here, you'll gain valuable tips on personal style and self-care to empower your journey. Join me to unlock the secrets to living beautifully well while elevating your lifestyle, mind, body, and spirit. Your appointment is now, so have a seat and get ready for transformation. Well, hello and welcome to the Lessons from Your Hairstylist podcast. I'm your host and hairstylist friend, Sarah Cruz. I am so excited you're here today. I cannot wait to introduce you to a really good friend of mine, somebody who's really transformed her life, her career, and we're going to talk all about that. She's an amazing real estate agent here in Nashville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee area. Courtney McMahon. I have known her for years, and I cannot wait for us to have this conversation with her. You're going to love her as much as I do. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Miss Courtney McMahon. Courtney, thank you so much for being on with us today.
Oh, I'm so excited you asked me, girl. I love it. From one boss lady to another, you are killing it. And I'm so proud of you.
Gosh. And I would have to say that to you too. When I see you come on and your content that I see, when you come across my Instagram feed or my LinkedIn feed, I'm just always like really excited to see what you bring because you're always smiling. You have a way of making people feel good. And I think that that's a huge part of being successful in anything that you do. It's really about that attitude of connection that you have and the giving. You know, you give, think from your heart when you're talking on your content, anything that you're doing, there's always a smile, there's always that connection. And I just think that connection is just so important in anything that we do. You are a master at that.
Oh,
and I think that that is something that really sets you apart in your business and everything that you do. I know that's why you're so successful now and in the 8 years that you've been doing real estate. And I would love to just hear a little bit about that. So when we're talking about transformation in our lives and you've kind of taken this new direction, you've transformed your career. Can you tell us just a little bit about how it started, how it is now kind of thing?
yes,
What your journey was like.
It is a crazy story. So I was like you. I have been behind the chair as a stylist for 18 years. So I started that when I was like 25 and just, did that for 18 years. And then in 2017, my shoulder finally said enough's enough. And I had shoulder surgery. And then I have always loved real estate, from home interior, any kind of home decor. All my friends call and say, hey, what paint color should I put on my walls? I mean, so that's just kind of been a trend. And so I was laid up in the bed and my husband was like, do you need another hydrocodone? I said, no, actually, I think I'm going to do real estate when I am done. And he was like, wait, what? And I said, yeah. I said, hopefully I can get well and I'll keep doing hair and kind of transitioning out. But I think it's now or never. And so I was 42 at the time. And so first of all, I want to say, if there's anybody out there that's thinking I'm too old, I can never do this, that's not true. And second of all, I've heard a lot of people say, but you were a stylist in your town for 18 years. How do you get people to think of you as something else? For me, I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I don't know any way else to do it, but do it. And that was one of the things that I made some notes in here is, I went all in. I didn't look back because nothing in your rearview mirror is helping you, when you're trying to build a business. And so anyway, that's how I transitioned. I literally stayed in the salon for, I think I did 2 days a week for probably another 6 months or so. And I took my laptop and I did hair and I answered a phone call when their color was processing, and I, did emails, and I showed homes at at night and after, on the weekends, and until I felt like I was really able to transition out. And so, yeah, that was how I got started. That was to answer that question.
That is just incredible. And it's something that I identify with so much because a lot of times in my transitions that I've had in my career, I've done 2, 3 things at once where I was transitioning out of one and into the next thing. And it really takes some resourcefulness. Like you said, you were working behind the chair, but then you were using the processing time for working on your business and moving yourself forward. And I wish that, the listener had been on with us like 20 minutes ago when you and I were just like going off having like this whole conversation about doing it messy, and there not being any sort of really like age limit because you and I just have kept reinventing ourselves later on in our lives. And the thing we were talking about a podcast, and it was kind of like, anything that you set out to do, yes, it can look overwhelming. And yes, you have to jump all in and you can't be looking behind you because you got to know where is it that I want to go. And I think that the thing that people can get so overwhelmed with is it seems like it's so much. It's like this big picture of like, I already want to be there, but there's so many like little micro steps to take along the way. And just, I think reinforcing to yourself that you are resourceful and you're taking small little steps and those are going to get you there is so important. And that's what I've seen you do.
Well, and to piggyback on that, the small steps and bite-sized pieces is what you have to do. Like I'm working on a workshop that we'll talk about later. When you look at the full workshop, it was so overwhelming. I thought I was going to lose my mind. But when you start to break it down into little pieces, it's like, oh, well, if I do this for a couple of weeks and then I do this and then I do this, I can make it work. And I have to reference a book that I'm reading right now, and it's The Gap and the Gain. And it talks about how most of us live in the gap. And what that means is instead of saying, wow, we have come this far in our business, that's living in the gain. We're living in the gap where we're like, I did that, but I need to get to this point. I started a podcast, but I don't have any listeners. But you started the podcast, but you started working on the workshop. No, you've not done all the things. And so I have totally noticed. That book is amazing. So if you've not gotten that, you have to get that on audio or something. But it really talks about how so many of us live in the gap all the time. And it's really hard to break out of that. But yeah, girl, we're not too old. Hush.
No. And we were talking about like, this feels like the best part of my life. Right now, I feel like this is the best part of my life. I feel better than I ever have. I feel like I have so much energy, so much passion, and so much creativity that I didn't have before. And I'm just excited about the future. I used to look and think, okay, in my 50s, I'm going to be ancient. I probably look ancient to a lot of people, but I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. And so it's so encouraging to see other people who are not 20 years old killing it. They've already killed it somewhere. They're killing it again. Or maybe this is the first time they're really going after something in their lives.
Yes. And that speaks to, other people too, that makes me think of people that I've coached or talked to. If you're my age, which I just turned 50, my kids are in college. I've been able to live my dreams, which I'm very, very thankful for. But a lot of people, once their kids start going to college, now it's their time. Now they can finally think about themselves because they haven't. That's my fitness journey. I never took care of myself for years until this past year and then lost the weight. Now I'm working out, weekly but I didn't have time. And so I've made me a priority. That's what, this also, I love the whole, and I can't read it without my glasses, but beauty field lifestyle makes me think of just that. You know what I mean? Taking the time for you. Finally, I know a lot of moms and women in general think that that's mom guilt or I have to take care of everybody else. But hey, at the end of the day, if we're not taking care of ourselves, who is? And if we're no good, nobody else is going to be. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a lot, but I think these are our best years. I agree.
They are. And the thing that I've learned too is there are things that I want done, but it doesn't have to be me that does it. When you're struggling, you're in the trenches with the little ones, when you're a parent. Like now, our kids are grown. We're like, woo, we got, it's like you don't have little ones under your feet anymore. And so for people that are in that position, it can be really hard to find time to take care of yourself. But it's like you said, you had never made it a priority before to work out or get healthy. And when you do, you find the time. It's like you said, no, because you want to do it. What you want to do, you'll do.
Oh, yeah. It'll become a non-negotiable if you want it to be. You know what I mean? And it's same with this, those little micro steps to get you that podcast, those micro steps to get, you know what I mean? That
Oh, God,
workshop.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, it'll sit here and stare at me if I don't make it a non-negotiable, So yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
It could be. It could just be a whole other podcast. But I mean, we could just call this the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like that is the only way that this ever came to fruition. And just like I was telling you at the beginning, I just looked back at my intro episode and was completely mortified and wanted to just cringe. And if anybody I know were to ever watch that in front of me or hear that in front of me, I would just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've got to make it a non-negotiable and you just put that stuff out there, knowing that it's not as good as it's going to be one day, but it's putting in the reps of it. And it's really how important is it to you?
Yes.
But I think that seeing other people like you who have made a change and a transition, knowing that it can be done, it doesn't have to be done all at once and it can be done through these baby steps. That's one of the things that, I'm all about with this podcast is transformation happens in the smallest little steps. I just posted something the other day because it's kind of my new motto is it's not all or nothing. It's all or something. It's either going to be, you're going to do it all, but you're not going to do nothing.
Right.
We're going to do all or something.
Exactly.
But something, when you add up all the somethings over time, that compounds in benefit. And it's an exponential return on all of those teeny tiny little things that you did along the way to where you do get this big result. So it's just that consistency of showing up all the time.
100%. Small forward steps.
Yeah, exactly.
I
wanted to ask you, in the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment, which is what, I'm all about right now at this point in my life, the concept of a beauty-filled life or a fulfilled life can just mean so many things to so many different people. But I'm interested to know, what does that mean to you?
I have 3 things that I kind of made, they're my motto, I swear, and I don't even know where it came from. But I also made a post yesterday that you may have seen with my computer, and it just basically talked about how I can, not leave my house and I'm able to work from the comfort of my home, and it's really the freedom. And so freedom is my number one thing for me. Probably my personality, to be fair, but I've had other careers where I did not have that freedom. I was there and I was in it and I had to be there. We talked a little bit about that before we started today. A beauty-filled life is freedom 100%, because even when I was behind the chair, luckily I made the commitment from day one to not miss any of my kids' events. I would just reschedule my clients. I mean, and their expectation was there. They knew it. We all knew it. I would get them back in. And so that translated well for me into real estate. I'm really good about saying, hey, if I've got something going on, we'll reschedule your showing or whatever, unless it's a deadline. But freedom. And then for me, helping others is really something at the top of my list. I mean, helping you new realtors that are calling me saying, what do I do? I mean, do I just wake up and the phone's going to ring? No, baby. No. I wish, but no. So helping others, huge on my list. And then honestly, the third one I wrote was no regret. Yes, I've got some regrets from different things in my life, but I want to make decisions in my life so that I can look back when I'm 85, 95, however long I live, and not have a complete house full of regrets. Now, I already have some. Okay. So, like, I get it. The freedom and helping others and doing intentional things in my life with my husband, with my family, and not having regrets is kind of my beauty field.
That's so good because I'll tell you, that goes right along. I feel like we're just tracking right on the same page, and the listener may also as well be like really resonating with some of this stuff because I was listening to a podcast the other day and talking about your vision and your purpose and your mission in life. Those really are reflective of your three big values, your biggest values that you have. And it's so funny that you just said that you've got basically these three values. It's almost like we had that conversation and you said, freedom was huge. You gave me like your big three. These are almost like your whys, right? So then you had, and then the helping others. You didn't want any regrets, and that everything you do every day is intentional towards that. You said, I don't even know where this came from. And the other thing that I heard on this podcast was, when people talk about you can do anything, you can achieve anything, you might have somebody say, well, that's really not true because I couldn't be an NBA player if I wanted to be, right? But then the question is, right, but everything that comes to you, your desires, those things that come to you that are your mission and your purpose, those are already in you. So that's how it comes to you. No, you probably wouldn't be an NBA player, but did you want to be? If you wanted to be, if that was your heart's desire, well, yeah, you'd find a way. But no, you're not going to be an NBA player.
Right.
Because do you really want to be? And it's kind of like, no, I don't, but I couldn't do that if I wanted to. Well, you could do it if you really wanted to, but you don't want to. So it's kind of like all that stuff comes from inside of you. And it's like your life's mission and your purpose. And when you
Yes.
work intentionally in those little teeny, reps every single day, it continues to take you closer and closer. If you don't let the doubt and the fear stand in your way.
It's so true. And, I look back and I think I didn't miss those moments with them. And we've been a really close knit family, almost a weird close knit family. Don't have regrets. Like it has made, don't get me wrong. It's not like we don't have problems, but I'm just saying there's just things that were just non-negotiables. I keep saying that, but there were many times, even when my kids were growing up, that my friends wanted to go hang out. And I just was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to hang with the family. And this is a crazy story. I don't know. Hopefully my husband wouldn't mind me telling this. When he was a huge poker player for years, and when we started having kids, he just was like, hey, I'm just not as interested. I want to be home with y'all. I want to be watching Blue's Clues 100,000 million times at night, and him cooking dinner or whatever. And he caught a lot of flack for that. Like, yeah, and pretty amazing because one of his dear, dear friends, now, all of our kids are grown, said, I get it now. He literally said that not too long ago. So, again, that's about family, but no regret, helping others and the freedom. I want to always have some sort of position where, yes, I want to make money. Who doesn't want to make money? I mean, come on. But I want the freedom to do the things that I want. And that is a little more of a reward for me.
That's so true. And the freedom that when that's your compass, the way that you have freedom really is by having the stability through making money. And it's kind of like the GPS, where it's like you kind of know out there where you want to go. You don't have to know every twist and turn that your app is going to give you. You just need to know where you want to go. It'll take you through the turns, and you trust that the next turn is coming, and that's the one that you'll take.
Yeah.
And so your non-negotiables have obviously led you to where you don't have a whole lot of regrets about family and about the way that you lived those years, because you were just automatically taken in that direction that was your purpose. And that was something, and I think people try too hard to get somewhere. I was forcing everything, and I could never force it because I couldn't allow it to unfold. And I feel like that, that kind of takes me into the next question I wanted to ask you is like, what sort of qualities do you feel that you have that really make up your personal brand? But you don't even have to tell me, because I know it's already becoming so obvious as to what your unique qualities are, But tell me a little bit about you personally that you feel, aside from just It's that personality, right? I mean, it's that connection with others. It's that huge smile. It's the way that you wanna help people, and it's just your whole package. Obviously, somebody can
Thank you.
see how unique and wonderful, you are and your
Girl.
brand as Courtney, that's who you are. So that's what makes you, like, so special. But I wanna hear a little bit more kind of about, like, what makes you tick. What inspired you really to help other realtors? I know you love to help people, but what
Yeah.
really got you kind of into your next thing that you're going into, which is sort of like the coaching and helping other realtors?
I mean, for me, I think it was just being myself, honestly. Also, I have a fire for learning. I actually been coined as a lifetime education lover, which that can be good and bad. I mean, sometimes you learn and then you don't ever take action. So been there, done that. How many of us have bought, 5 courses and and podcasts or whatever and never done a thing, right? I think with my success and brand comes from just I'm not giving up. Trying to not let fear stop me because, fear's a big thing, especially with women. I have something on my desk right here that I look at every single day, and it's do not postpone, do not let fear stop you.
I
And
love
so I mean, it's just, something that I stare at all the time because fear's everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere every day. For me, yes, lover of people, 100%. I can't help it, to a fault sometimes, honestly. And I want people to succeed and live their dreams. And honestly, like I look at some people that I know right now have a different dream that aren't even trying, and it hurts me for them, because fear is holding them back. 100% encourager. Lord have mercy, encourager, I would say and I appreciate you noticing this about me. Somebody told me this when I was young that you always wanted to make sure everybody in the room felt okay in their own skin. And I never really I heard them say it, but didn't really pay attention to it till in my older years. So thank you for, seeing that again and hearing that. So I appreciate it.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Well,
know if I answered the question. I can't find my because I
you
can't see.
did. You totally did. Well, it was just really about, like, what inspired you to wanna help other people, other realtors as they're getting
Oh, well,
started and they're close to be successful.
okay, so I will speak to that. So, as far as helping realtors, what I wanted to help them because of the struggles that I went through. Because as we all know, everybody knows like 12 realtors. Literally, that is a statistic. You know
And
what I
12
mean?
hairdressers.
Yeah, yes,
But 12
exactly.
real
There were, like, I think the stat this past and I should have pulled that up, for you, but the past year, the stat was, like, 10% of all realtors sold more than 1 house a year. And so people say, "Oh, well, she's a realtor." Okay, well, that doesn't mean she's working at it, or that doesn't mean he's actually closing deals, okay? So, I think that's hard for people to understand is like, yeah, I'm a realtor. Okay, well, what does that mean? So for me, and I had been actually at several brokerages. I had a really hard time finding my home. I worked for one that was a national brand. Then I worked for a very, very small boutique brokerage. And so now I'm in a middle of the road brokerage that is amazing. I've been there over a year now. Love them and cannot speak highly enough about them. But anyway, I just couldn't find my home. And I also think that's a challenge for realtors. And so I want to help them because everybody's like, oh, like I told you earlier, I'm going to be a realtor now. I'm going to make all the money and
Yeah.
ride around in my pretty car and show
Yeah.
houses. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I
Oh, yeah.
really need to know. I really want people to know without being ugly or disrespectful or even shedding a bad light to anyone that it's so not that. It's that sometimes, but most of the time it's not, Most of the times it's, me, if you could see my office right now, getting ready for 2 open houses this weekend, creating pop buy gifts for my clients. My son is at Walmart doing something else, putting out open house signs. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of grunt work as well, and people don't realize that. And so for me, the struggle of finding that correct brokerage, but also realizing daily what I'm supposed to be doing as a realtor, it's
Yeah.
not sitting here waiting on my phone to ring because
Right.
good luck to us all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my work. My workshop hopefully is kind of going to bounce off the power of six, which is the power of six things that I do every day and that people can do every day in their business. Because at the end of the day, who doesn't love a checklist or something where they go, oh, I did that.
I love a checklist.
Yeah.
I have lists telling me where my lists are. I mean, I have got checklists. I'm the checklist queen. I've got
Yes.
my notes app is like checklist city. I check off the smallest things to
Yeah.
celebrate. And it motivates me to feel like, okay, I did this one little thing. I did this, like, okay, I can keep going. And
Yes. Oh,
it's really about being resourceful and really about being open and ready to receive a different way of thinking about what you do every day and being able to pivot and change the way that you do things because what got you here won't get you there. What you've done isn't always going to work. You've got to always continue to be resilient and change.
well, what goes into that, what we talked about earlier, doing it messy. So I think this is a perfect time to mention that again.
Yeah,
So
let's talk about
like,
it.
when you're starting a new career and pivoting, whether it's realtor or you're brand new and you're starting to go into the salon for the first time or whatever it is, you do not have to have all the answers. And I mean, if we can just wrap our heads around that, like it's so life-giving. I mean, it really is.
It really is.
Yes, if you can just be
And
like,
to
"Hey."
load off.
Yes,
Like, I don't have to know how. I just have to be willing.
girl, you
I'm in
preaching. You preaching, girl, you preaching. So, and it's so true. Like, I didn't have all the answers 8 years ago. I didn't know anything, but I did it messy. And that was one of my trainings that I've been this that did I did not coin that phrase. That was another great coach, but she said do it messy. And when she said do it messy, I was like, "Well, I can do it without knowing all the things." Yes, I can. And you can too. You know what I mean? And you can too.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Perfection is really, I think, as I learned, a form of procrastination. And I wanted everything to be a certain way before I felt like I could go on to the next thing. And I had to get over that because I was very stuck and wasn't making any progress on anything. And that's why right now at the beginning of this podcast, this is a new venture, right? I'm not the podcaster that a lot of people are, but I know that every single podcast I do, well, I'll just continue to learn and improve.
Exactly.
And yes, right now the messy is out there in the world for other people to judge if they want to
Yeah.
but hopefully inspire people to realize like I don't need to be at this elite level in order to make an impact or to offer some value.
Right.
And I think that is so important right now at this stage of the game because we can talk to people that are just starting. I know when I just started and I was trying to learn from people who were in the, multimillionaire category, this national level category, it was almost like they had forgotten that beginning part and they're giving you all the hows because everybody wants to know how. But
Right.
how do I do it? But tell me how, tell me how, tell me
Yes.
how.
Yes.
And the part of this that everybody forgets is that you're the only one that knows how.
Right.
That can tell you how. You just have to know that that's where you're going, and the how will start to reveal itself.
For sure. That is so true. And I mean, and that's another thing too, when you get to 8 years later or however long, and even in hair, I remember thinking, man, like what would I tell myself if I had to start over today? And so that's kind of where this came from is I started thinking, okay, well, what would I tell a new realtor, brand new, what they would need to be doing? And, I kind of, I don't know if we could pivot to that. Is that okay
Yeah.
with what I
Yeah,
wrote?
totally. I
I can
think let's just go where the
Yeah.
wind blows at
Okay,
this
good.
point. I mean, really, the questions that I had for you, we're touching on all of that stuff
Okay,
anyway. I
good.
think this is all really great content and information
Yeah.
for the listener to be, listening in on as well. And I know it's inspirational. So I say, let's,
Oh, get it,
for the
girl.
fences.
We were talking about just actionable steps of somebody starting their journey in real estate, and so,
Yes.
I'll speak to that, is I don't know why, but I have 3 tips. So one is find someone that you truly trust and ask them, the fun and the great and the glitzy questions, but also ask them the honest questions. Like ask me how it's gone for 8 years, and I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly because you
Yeah.
deserve that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And a lot of people don't want to hear it. And a lot of people, depends on your mindset, a lot of people think if I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, I'm discouraging you from being a realtor because I don't want you to come into my space.
Yeah.
Not true. Not
No.
true. I just wish I'd have had a little more of the ugly before I started. Now, I did know some of it. I did know some of it because I had some good friends that are realtors. But find that person you trust and ask them the great and fun and glitzy fun, questions, and then you ask them the down and dirty
Yeah.
because you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't want to hear that before you start a business because it's not all amazing. I mean, it's just
No.
not. So, and then number 2, I said, make sure you've got money aside to pay your bills if you don't close a house for 6 months. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. And then number 3, get your license and find a mentor. You have got to find somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, call at late night if you need help with a contract. Hopefully that's your broker or somebody in your brokerage. But if it's not, find somebody. And so that's the kind of things.
The mentorship is so important.
Huge. It's
Having
huge.
having someone that you can at least just talk to
Yeah.
and who will encourage you through and offer some advice to you. And you really have to have a support system in anything that you do. What would you say to people that don't have anyone yet or that don't have a support system? Or worse, even dealing with someone, and I know you haven't had this issue, you've got a very supportive spouse, but what if they're dealing with someone who's a naysayer? What if they're dealing with someone who's discouraging them or telling them, well, you can't, you're just not able to do this. This won't work. What do you say?
I would definitely tell them to still be, with that person and, whatever, but I would limit talking about that to them if you could. I actually have had a friend in that situation with real estate and actually with something else. And I said, find a networking group, maybe find a good friend, but also find a good friend that knows the situation and maybe a couple of people that don't, that are kind of looking from the outside in, because you can get some of your best opinions from somebody who really doesn't know what's going on, but they're seeing what's unfolding and they can tell you the raw, honest truth. Now, in saying all of that, again, you've got to trust them. If you don't really trust these people, you shut your mouth. Because that can also come back to bite you. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but also the truth is not everybody is on your side. Not everybody's in your corner. There are people that are not cheering you on. What does that do for a person like me and my personality? It makes me go, okay, watch. You know,
Yeah,
but
me
not every
too.
yeah, but not everybody's like us, and that's
Right.
okay. So,
Right.
but find someone that you can trust and confide in, and
Yeah.
really that will give you the honest answers because, I can call anybody I want to and get some fluff. "Oh, you did such a good," but
Yeah.
I want
So
you to mean it, I want you to mean it, and if it's not looking like if I need to do something different, tell me. Like, tell me.
yeah.
Um and going off onto this, I wanted to say something else. So I've had a lot of people that have said to me over the years, I don't think I can be a realtor because I don't have your personality.
Mhm.
You're just bubbly and love people. I don't really like people.
Oh,
And I mean, I've had that. And I just don't, I'm quiet. I'm kind of an introvert. So I'm extremely extroverted. However, I need time by myself.
yeah.
My husband will tell you that. I will get in my car when I need time. It's like, bye. I get in my car. Sometimes I'm gone 30 minutes. Sometimes I'm gone 3 hours and I just drive. I've always done that. And sometimes I need to go and watch a Dateline in my bedroom and please don't come in there until I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want people to realize that there are all types of personalities. It takes all kinds. If you're not the person that's going to join a networking group, then you need to find that other thing that you're going to do to meet people to have a great business. Some people love calling expired listings and this is going real realtor deep, but expired listings and cancels. I'm never going to do that. I'm not. I mean, I
Right.
want a referral business where I sold Sarah's house and she loved it and she told all her friends and family. And then
Yeah.
they started calling me. That's just the business I want. So
Right.
that's kind of what I coach, a little bit more in that realm. But no, people do not always have to have the same personality as me.
Right.
100%. You just have to find your strengths.
Right. Yeah. That was just going to say, like you said, you've got to find your strengths. You've got to know yourself. Maybe you're good for someone who isn't comfortable around someone who's
Right.
very demonstrative or someone who has a big personality I've had people sit in my chair and I'm kind of up like
Yeah.
that. I'm sort of
Yeah.
all over the place.
Mhm.
Well, and they've left me. It's just overwhelming. It's
Right.
like, you know,
I
makes you
understand because that's me. Like,
courage.
I'm not for everyone. Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Nobody is. So
So,
I think that's so important. You said you focus a lot on people that are downsizing or people
yes.
that have maybe like inherited or
Mhm.
something like that. You've got your little niches that you like, things that you really kind of resonate with. And I think that's important where people really know what they like to do. And that's a part of their personal
And
brand.
that goes to, you in as a stylist, me as a realtor, or anything in between. Again, it kinda that whole "we're not for everyone" is correct. Yes, I do first-time home buyers. Yes, I do divorce situations, a lot. Yes, I do all these things, but where I focus my time and a lot of my marketing budget is a lot of times on downsizers. People that are getting up in age that are gonna want to get rid of some things and get to a smaller house payment, get to retirement. I love helping, for them. So I have a downsizing guide that I make available. So I can't do yes, I could do it for the broad, but once people realize, "Oh, well, she helps downsizers." Well, then my next client's going, "Hey, listen, we just downsized and Courtney help us, and I know you're" well, they tell all their friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then with
Right.
estates, basically, I got into this niche almost by accident, but I had a couple of people that, had properties from where their parents passed that had rental properties. And this has been, gosh, 6, 7 years ago now. And they said, "Hey, we, have always watched you, loved you, and we want you to sell all of our parents' properties." And so I was like, I would love to. And listen, it's not without its challenges because you've got to go through probate, you've got to get the court to sign off on it and all the things, but it is so rewarding. I don't know why. I just love it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so you start marketing towards that. You make social media posts about downsizing
Yeah.
and you talk about what it's like to do this and so niche you can do all the things in hair. We know that. But what are you really good at? Is it
Right.
extensions? Is it bridal? Is it what?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that
And
really
that keeps somebody from getting so overwhelmed too, from feeling like they have to know and be a specialist in all the things. When you can really drill down on something, you can tune out the rest of the noise in a way and really get good at your one thing. And
really
I think once you get to know, it's like if you're speaking to the masses, you're kind of like speaking to nobody.
right.
If you're speaking to one particular group of people, then you get known for that. And I feel like you don't have to force it as much
That's
in
right.
anything that you're doing.
Well, and another coach said to me one day, and I was like, "What?" Well, it was talking about going into the online space, which made me think you need to hear this as much as I did with the workshop and your podcast. She said, "You only have to have a little sliver of the internet to have
Yeah.
raving fans and a great success."
Right.
And if you think
Yeah.
about it, I can probably, within 50 people, show you who's been referring me over 8 years, who's used me again and again to buy and sell their properties. Like, it's not 5,000.
No.
It's not the masses, and for you either.
No, I lost 2 social media accounts. I recently lost my Facebook account. So I
Oh,
lost my Instagram account about 2 years ago. Had a pretty good following, a lot of connections in the industry. I'll never get it back. I
oh,
started over. I'm still at like 700 followers. It's ridiculously
yeah.
small. I just lost 16 years of Facebook
Oh,
and so I started over. I think I have 191 friends on Facebook now. Like I got nobody. Like
right.
nobody seeing
And
my stuff. So
oh, and
well,
it's
for right
still
now, but you don't need, like you said, you don't need all of that. You really just need like a small amount that's
yeah.
it's really critical for you to be able to build off of that. And
It
it's
really
not the
is.
following, it's the quality of the ones that
It's
you.
the quality girl. Yes. Yes. Because you could be, you could have 5,000, but maybe 10 or 20 of them are the only ones that are seeing it and really like resonating with the material you're putting out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's so
And you
true.
know who your cheerleaders are. You see them
Oh,
because always in your feed, right?
girl, they're not
You've
raising
gotta
hands.
really drill down on these people
Yes.
and
Yes.
feed them,
Mhm.
like, that's what
Mhm.
you're doing because then
Yeah.
those are your referrals, like you
Right.
said.
Yeah, it's so true,
Yeah.
and, even, like, you doing hair in your area, you're not gonna be known for doing Davidson, Williamson, Murray, you know what I'm saying? And that is a really big part of being an entrepreneur, I think, too, and being a realtor and hairdresser is, for a stylist, I remember thinking, "Oh, well, I could market to, everybody in Williamson and, or Murray and all that," and then you quickly realize, but why? You've got a great following here in your area. And
Right.
so it's the same with real estate and downsizing and all the things we just talked about our niche. It's also area, too. So you just, what do I know? I know Marshall County, I know Lewisburg inside and out, and I know the surrounding counties. So that's where I'm going to focus. And I think
Yes.
too, when we try to be too much of not ourselves, it doesn't work out.
At all.
It
At
doesn't work.
all.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just keep spinning your wheels on that forever. You're not gonna be somebody you're not. I love this conversation because it's for me, like, the theme of it is really, like, you've gotta really play small to play big kinda thing.
Yeah.
You've gotta play small to play big because you've gotta get drilled down, and very focused on the small things where then you're able to really get your brain around it.
You
It's
got
not
to.
so overwhelming because I think people look at this big picture and they think it's just impossible to get
Impossible.
there, but it's one little step in front of the other. What would you tell someone who is just starting out? They're thinking, okay, I've heard Courtney talk about, okay, no, it's not all easy. I need to kind of know myself. I think I can do this. I need to find my niche. What would be, and if they're still on board for it, what are
Right.
gonna be, like, the 3 basic, like, actionable steps that they can take when they're I mean, they've listened to us talk because 'cause we've just had this big conversation, but they're like, "Okay, but I still think I would like to do something different in my life and like to maybe try out the real estate thing. What are the ways that I can, like, what do I do right now? What's the step I can take today? What are the first, like, 3 little actionable steps I could take?"
I think that it just really comes down to knowing yourself. So, that sounds really weird because we talked about finding someone and going to school and setting your money back and all the things. But at the end of the day, you've got to know, hey, am I ready for this? Giving yourself a pep talk. Am I ready for this? Am I not going to let fear hold me back? Make sure you know there are going to be setbacks and are you ready for it? I think a big, huge thing is coming up with your why because really, if you don't have a why for doing this, like we all want to make money. So, okay, I want to make money. All right, that sounds good, but that's real generic. So I think drilling down what your why is. And for example, like mine, why did I want to do real estate? It was the freedom. A
Yeah.
lot of it was. And so if you can kind of drill that down and kind of figure out what it is that it's going to do for you and how you're going to help others, helping others. I want to help others. I didn't want regrets with my family. I didn't want to work 12 hours a day somewhere and then come in at dinner time and hug them and tell them goodnight. And then we do it all over again. Coming up with your why. And honestly, y'all, I'm like a really big dream board kind of person. We've done this with the
Me
boys for
too.
years. Yep.
I got my vision board right here.
Yeah. Find those things that you want and aspire to be and goals on the internet. And we just print them off and put them on posters or put them in your planner. And honestly, the only other thing I want to say about that is don't forget to hold yourself accountable, but don't put so much pressure on you that you get stuck. And because I think that's very easy to do, and like you had said earlier, well, I didn't make these 2 steps. So am I even going to be able to move forward? Yes. Yes. But you just have to keep going in that direction.
How do
You're
you
going to,
keep going when you don't have any motivation and you get up one day and you're like, "Screw it. I don't
yeah,
really wanna do this shit
right,
anymore." Like,
exactly.
what? I mean, But then you said you wanted to because you made that promise to yourself and
Yep.
so, like, what happens in that moment? Like, how do you, like, just personally, if you get up one day and you're like, "Man, I'm just kinda discouraged about this whole thing, like,
Uh-huh.
really, do I need to be doing this? Like, why did I do it?" Like, sometimes I'm 30 years into being a hairstylist, and some days I'm like, "Maybe I wasn't cut out for this,"
Right.
but you know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh,
Well,
I
I'm
think you should figure that out a long time ago if you didn't," but
I know. Well, I'm a prayer and a devotional girl. So that is huge for me. My spiritual life is something I can't even tell you it's not there because it really is. Devotional, there's some meditation that I also do and prayer. I'm a huge prayer girl. So that keeps me grounded 100%. But I kind of look at myself, give myself a pep talk. I mean, honestly, like, hey, you know, and I will say this too. I think it's okay to have some moments where you lay in the bed another hour and you do cry for a couple hours and you do have a pity party, and I think that's okay. What is not okay is getting out of it. You cannot let yourself stay there for very long because it's not good for you or anyone around you. And I think that's the thing with women too, and moms. I mean, we just totally don't think that we are able to let ourselves do that. Stay strong, stay strong. Don't let anybody see you having a bad day. Oh, give me a break. Like, that's why we got to the part of our world, I feel like, where people have anxiety and they have things because they didn't let themselves feel. And that's what I do. Like, I will let myself go in there and cry it out, girl. And I'll pray and I'll read my devotional and I might listen to some praise and worship music. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk in my office again, kind of see what I need to do for the day. You know,
and that's it. Just walk you just say to yourself, "I'm just gonna walk in the office,"
yep.
because when you walk in, something's gonna happen, right?
Something happens every time.
All you gotta do is just walk in there. Sometimes it's just those little teeny things, that help.
It's
That
for
help me too. 'Cause I'm a routine person,
Yeah.
and I would imagine now, probably since I feel like we're on the same page and tracking on absolutely everything else.
Yeah.
I don't wanna speak for you, but I feel like you probably are intentional about trying to have certain things that are consistent also in your life. Do you incorporate some kind of self-care beauty into your daily?
I work out 3 times a week now, and I used to never do that. So I started strength training a couple weeks ago, but I've done Zumba, I've done Pilates, all the things. And then for me, I try to get a massage, not as much as I need to be honest. This will sound crazy, but when I get up in the morning, I'm actually not an early riser. Never have been. Wish I was. I don't necessarily stay up super late, but I just do not get up early well. So I work out at night. But here's what I've found to really work is even when I get up, I go ahead and get ready. I might have pajama pants on and this, which I have on jeans, and I'm fully dressed today. But like, this is a black sweatshirt, nothing major. I did put jewelry on. My hair is maybe clean and
Yeah,
got my makeup full face. Yeah. But for me working from home, I get up and go ahead and do all of that, and then I come in here and work. And I will say this, as a realtor, and this made me think of something that I didn't even have written down in my notes. If you know you cannot work well from home, if you know that about yourself,
yeah,
then you need to make sure you're going into the office at least 2 or 3 days a week. Now, I am very motivated in my home office. I always have been.
yeah,
I can turn it on when I walk in here like I am at the office. I don't know why. But
yeah.
so just keep it in mind. But yeah, beauty wise, I just go ahead and get ready and I hit the door. Like, I may not even talk to one person today, besides you. I mean, maybe not, but I'm ready in case something, and I feel more productive because I'm ready.
I started taking that on too. Even though I'm working from home, I'm not gonna be in, like, my pajamas all day, which
Right.
I never was in my pajamas all day, but I might just not do anything with my hair. I might not, like, put any, like, very presentable but I've realized if I wanna be the next level, the next version of myself, I need to show up for myself. If
Yeah,
I don't see another person, I need to know that when I walk in the bathroom and look in the mirror that I got ready for myself this morning.
that's exactly right.
That's a mindset thing
Mhm.
where it will definitely influence your attitude and your motivation for the day. It's
Okay.
hard to be sitting in makeup and having, your hair done and when I say hair done, I'm like, I put my hair in a ponytail today, but
Oh,
but it's not like I didn't roll out of bed.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm clean. I'm
Yeah.
showered. I am dressed. We ought to go, so I mean, it's like just show up when you're proving to yourself that you're showing up. Like you said, whether you're working in your own home office or you're going in, just because you won't see anybody else today doesn't mean you won't walk in the bathroom and look in the mirror.
Yeah, it's something about it though. You just kinda changes your mentality for the day. Now, I'm
It
not gonna
does.
lie, I try really hard to give myself 1 day a week. I don't come in here every single day. I really love to work. So I have to really watch myself to not
Oh,
overdo
yeah.
it.
Well, I'll work into the night.
Yeah,
I'll be working on the couch in front of the TV, which is
yep.
not good, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and I've been trying to kinda taper that off a little. Now, my laptop's still in my lap, but, like, I try to put it up a little bit before bedtime, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I do give
It is an
myself a day.
addiction.
Yes. I do give myself a day, though, to stay in my pajamas and no makeup at
Yeah.
least 1 day a week because that's mental health and just for me to not feel like, because if I don't do it once a week, I feel like that's all I've done is worked all week.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm not doing it on the weekends or, like, acting like I'm going to work on the on certain days, but I totally agree with that. You definitely need those days where you're not obligated to impress anyone,
Right.
including yourself.
Exactly. I'm like some days I'm like, "Lord mercy, I'm
I
tired."
know. I know it. I know. I
So
tell you, and the other thing too that can be a little bit overwhelming is the way that things are constantly changing. And I know that every industry is constantly changing, and that's just another layer of things where somebody could who's looking to get into real estate. First of all, it's overwhelming sometimes to think about the schooling you'd have to go through, then taking the test, then the fact that everything continues to evolve, everything continues to change all the time. And you don't trust yourself, maybe that you're able to keep up with that, or you compare yourself to other people who seem to be able to do it better. What would you say to somebody who's in that space?
I would definitely just tell them to, find a broker or good friend in the business that could help guide them because the schooling and the test, can be really grueling for some and not at all grueling for others. There's an option to do it online and go in person, which I'm an in-person girl just because I'm probably my age, whatever. But I would just tell them to get with somebody that can help them through all the things because, there's a lot to it. One of the things I kind of do like is that it is ever changing. But a personality that doesn't like change is going to need somebody to guide them through those steps. I think people need, again, it goes back to mentorship and just finding
Yeah.
somebody you trust. I mean, that's like the name of the game, I feel like. And I've had a lot of people ask me, well, hey, can I come shadow you in a day? And I'm like, I mean, you can, but,
Yeah.
a lot of my stuff, yeah, I mean, a lot of my stuff is like emailing and making a call to somebody just to say, "Hey, I've been on your auto notify, I've been sending you properties. Are these properties working for you? Are you totally done and don't wanna buy anymore?" Like, it's a lot of check-in, a whole lot of follow-up, which I love.
It's that grunt, like you said, the grunt stuff, like the
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff that doesn't
Yes.
seem very glamorous, but it's very necessary. You
Yes, I
like the
mean
follow-up stuff?
oh
You like
gosh, I
the
love it.
follow-up?
Yeah, like, when I was a stylist, like, I loved following up with my clients. "Hey, what'd you think about that bangs? What
That is a gift.
how are the bangs?"
Girl,
I don't know why, I did
you
it and did it.
struggle.
Yeah, I literally another course idea was a course idea on helping stylists because I really feel like a lot of them do not know how to follow up with their clients.
That'd be a great course.
I mean, I do, and maybe
I
you might
know.
I mean, tell me the truth later if you think it would be a good one, but I'm like, "Y'all, it's really not rocket science."
Is the desire there?
Yeah, I
Is
know,
the
that's what I'm
desire
saying.
there to want to?
Yeah, that's my thing.
And I think it does go back to, like anything else, like, how bad do you want it? Knowing that following up and keeping that connection is really important,
Right. But
you
then some
know?
people will be like, "Hey, I see them every 6 weeks, I got the connection."
I know, right.
So I get
Well,
it,
I
yeah.
think teaching people the importance of doing it because I haven't been that great with that, I'll say. There have been times where I'll send out cards because I'm like, I need to send a card to these people and let them know I appreciate them. I'm not always consistent with it.
Right.
And then like some years I might send Christmas cards if my assistant will do that,
Yeah.
and help me with it.
Yeah.
But then other years I won't send anything.
Right.
So it's like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you could teach somebody a system of doing that consistently, their business would literally
Oh, yeah, and
take
brand
off.
new and see brand new stylist too, one of the girls that I did her hair for years, she left me and went and got her license, and she's such a good stylist, and
Wow.
she said, "I did exactly what you said."
Yeah.
Her before and after pictures and following up, so anyway, that's another
Yeah.
story for the day, but
We just have so much to say. It's so
so
good. We're gonna have to come back and do it again. We're gonna have to come
I
back and
like
do it
that,
again.
girl, hey. Hey,
Oh
can I
my
say
goodness.
something? Here,
Yes.
one of my other actionable steps or whatever in incorporating beauty and fulfillment is focus on being thankful.
Ooh,
So, yeah,
yes.
so
Yes.
because, some people are not prayers, they don't have devotions, that's fine. Every single person has something to be thankful for. Even when they don't feel thankful,
Right.
they've got something to be thankful for. I don't care if it's the house that you live in, you're warm, and there's people that are not. So for me, I did write that down and forgot to mention it, but when you have a heart of thanksgiving, it is very hard to be negative. It's very hard to not think you can't do it, whatever you're wanting to do. That's part of my daily routine that I didn't mention. I just saw.
The gratitude thing and getting in that, I mean, it can sound very cliche, and a lot of the mindset stuff and all of that. I mean, sometimes I hesitate to put that type of content out there because I'm like, good God, everybody's talking about this, like everybody's talking about it, be grateful, be grateful. But the reason why they're talking about it is because it is such a powerful tool to use each and every day. And whether you're spiritual or you're religious, you
Right.
believe in a higher power, being grateful is something that we can all come together on and have that commonality. Like
100%.
everyone, like you said, has got something to be grateful for. And I just think that if nothing else, you can stop for a second because that will have a great impact on the way that you think about things in your perspective. And the way that you think about things in your perspective dictates your emotions. And then your
Oh,
emotions dictate your actions. That's kind of like a cycle that happens. And so once then your emotions are higher and then you do more. And then the actions, they trigger more emotions. And if you can get the ball rolling, and gratitude will start that.
it
I
will.
thought.
Yeah, and that gap in the gain kinda talks about that as well, because if you're living in the gap, you're always thinking about what you need to do, haven't done, all that, and if you're living in the gain, you're thankful for what has been done. You're thankful for what you have. You're thankful for the steps you've already taken, even though you're not to where you wanna be.
I'm gonna get that when we go off. I'm
Yeah.
going to get the author and put that information in the show notes for the
Yes.
listener who wants to look up that book and go and find that for
It's so
themselves.
good.
Because I'm definitely going to be hitting that book up. I'm going to be reading that myself because that sounds like something that I really enjoy and would get a lot from. Just as we close out, that you would like to leave people with, just an overarching message that would sort of be your parting words for the listener today.
I don't know if you've ever heard anything like this, but I tell my kids this, I tell anybody that I'm coaching, anything. It takes so much courage to do something new, to start something new, to start something that you've never thought that you could do. But it also takes a lot of courage to know when it's time to stop it, when it's time to move out of it, when you know this is not serving you any longer. That is also takes a lot of courage. Great courage to start something new and get going, but it's also really takes a lot of courage to know when it's time to move on.
How do you think somebody knows when it's time to move on? When is that
Oh,
moment?
oh, they 100% know it in their gut. When it's becoming a burden daily, when their gut, I mean, if you're in tune with your body and there's a gut check of you really knowing that something doesn't feel right over and over and over again, it's time. I just had this conversation literally with my son a couple of nights ago, and I was like, I'm so proud of you for making this decision, because it takes just as much courage to know to keep going just now as it does for you to say, okay, it's time for me to. He was like,
Right.
okay, mom, that's real. And I was like, I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. So,
Yeah. It's so true. It's funny.
mhm.
I had that conversation with my husband, not that conversation, but I had a conversation with my husband a couple days ago something that, and he was like, we can talk about it, but you won't hear it. And I was like, no, I'll hear it.
Oh,
and he brought it to my attention again. And I thought, damn it, you know what?
you're so right.
I've known that. I've known that. And
Yeah.
I've known that for a long time. But, I was like, I didn't want to look at it, didn't want to do it, wasn't ready to go there, but it's helped because I finally got to that point where I was like, that's right.
Yeah.
And like you said, that was back there. It was in the back of my head.
And you
It
were
was like,
pushing it down and pushing it down. Yeah.
I've been pushing it for a long time. I've been pushing it for a long time,
Hey, and you know what?
And-
That could be relationships. That could
Well,
be a
yeah.
lot of things that's not
It's things
serving
that
you.
you get stubborn about too, where it's just like, no, damn it, it's going to happen this way.
Yes.
This is how it's going to happen. And I'm
Right.
just, well, if you can't be open to be having things happen a different way than what you want, then you're probably going to continue to be the same person. I'm
yeah.
like,
Yep.
I never
You'll
really want to.
stop. Yeah. You're like, go on back to your range. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We continue to learn, we continue to grow, but gosh, this has been great. I am so glad that we had a chance to jump on and chat. I know that the listener has truly enjoyed getting to know you, and I would love if you could tell us where people can find you on social media and how they might access you as a coach if they
Okay.
are looking to get into the real estate world.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Seriously. On Facebook, I'm Courtney Warren McMahon, or you can follow my business page and it's Courtney McMahon Selling Middle Tennessee. So at Courtney Selling Middle Tennessee is most of my handle. So Instagram, you can find me Courtney Sells Middle TN, LinkedIn, same thing. So that's kind of my overall thing. My course, I'm trying to get ready in the next, I hope, month or so, or workshop. So if you would just follow me on those channels, and I've got landing pages and funnels and stuff that I'm working on to try to pull you in so that you can be on that when it rolls out. So I'm
Okay.
super excited. Thank you
Oh
so
my gosh.
much.
I'm so excited for that. You are just going to kill it with that. And I do think that you'd be an amazing podcast host as well
Hey,
because
girl,
you just
thanks.
got so much to offer.
That's my mini dream. That's my little, I got another dream, girl. Woo! You gonna have to
Right.
help me.
It's back there. And there's a reason why it's knocking on your heart. It's like, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Thank
So
you so much. I need to, you know what? I need to talk about menopause and empty nest.
we'll do that one. Hey, that's a good one. We'll come back for part 2 of
Seriously.
menopause and
Woo.
empty nest. I
Woo.
got the Perry going on right now.
Oh, I'm in full blown now. So
She's rough, man. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Courtney.
Thank
It
you
was
so
so
much.
good to spend this time with you. I'm so excited we got a chance to have you on, and let's do it again.
All right, girl. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Lessons from Your Hairstylist. I hope you found inspiration and actionable insights to embrace your unique beauty and elevate your life. Remember, it's all about taking small steps towards a happier, healthier you. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might benefit from it. Together, let's continue unlocking the secrets to living beautifully fulfilled. Until our next appointment, keep your thoughts on your visions, your self-talk kind, and remember to keep your heart open so you don't miss any opportunities waiting for you out there. I'll see you on the next one.